With 5 days to the Osun governorship election, security has been heightened across parts of the state. Soldiers have been deployed to key locations, including the INEC headquarters in Osogbo, with movement around the area now restricted. News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, joins us live from Osogbo. Bernard, we're seeing increased security presence across the state, particularly around the INEC office. What is happening there at the moment?
Thank you, Blessings. I was hoping that the Chief Security Officer of INEC stationed here would be joining me, Mr. Oluwaseun Awoko. We had a conversation earlier, but possibly before the end of this report, he possibly will join. Well, what we're seeing right now is an increased presence of security operatives in and around the state in some particular areas, but most specifically here at INEC office. And you know, there's no surprise to that. We do know that any moment from now, movement of electoral materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive alike, will be making its way in and out of these premises, not coming or going from far away, not too many kilometers away. We equally have the central bank premises, I beg your pardon, and these materials will be moving from there to this particular place. So what has happened now, like you possibly can see, is military officials, not just the police now, stationed in and around this particular premises. We equally have the presence of the DSS in this particular place. We were able to speak to the Chief Security Officer, and he said that this will be the situation leading to the election and possibly after the election, eventually when collation, counting and announcement of results will be done. He also made it clear to us that of the people who would, the few people or the limited number of people who would be granted access into the premises will only be certain specific persons, and then INEC staff only from level 9 and above. Those below level 9 will not be granted access into this place. Finally, as a matter of fact, he also did say that even the governor himself will not be granted access into these premises, of course, because of the sensitivity of this particular area at this point in time.
The update on the Osun governorship election, which is just in 5 days. We will still circle back to them in Osun State to tell us more about the level of preparedness that the people have regarding this forthcoming elections. But in the meantime, Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress and other labour unions in Osun State have staged a protest at the state secretariat, demanding improved welfare for workers and pensioners. The protesters carried placards calling for a new minimum wage, insisting that Osun pensioners are not for sale. They also called for sanctions against politicians found culpable of corruption, including visa restrictions by Western embassies, while urging INEC to remain impartial ahead of the upcoming governorship elections. News Central's Mercy Babajide is standing by for more on this. Mercy, good afternoon to you. What are the key demands of the labour unions today, particularly regarding workers' welfare, pensioners and the minimum wage?
Hello, good afternoon, Blessings. Right at my back is what is the remnant of the rally, or rather the protest that happened with the Osun State organized labor. And earlier on, we spoke with the chairman of the organized labor and, of course, the chairman of the pension commission for Osun State, where they clearly stated that some of the allegations raised by the opposition party, which is the All Progressive Congress, is false. That is especially given that the APC has alleged that the Osun State government, that is in person of Governor Ademola Adeleke, has sent 20,000 naira to majority of the workers, and they claim that this is actually vote buying. But then the chairman of the Organized Labour Party and a lot of workers, I'm sure my camera operator would pan to my left, where most of the workers are just resuming work for the day. Earlier on, it was a standstill and the gate was locked. Most of them have claimed that the 20,000 naira was as a result of the palliative they requested from the governor earlier on in the year. And then the governor, fulfilling his duty, actually sent all of Osun State government workers 20,000 naira to, of course, fulfill his promise, which is the 20,000 naira for the palliatives, and equally, of course, the pensioners. Part of what they've stated, that's the Organized Labour Congress for Osun State, have said that they want INEC to be impartial in the coming election. Then they also stated that the Osun pensioners are not for sale. Then they, of course, stated that the Western embassies should issue visa ban on any politician that is culpable of corruption in whatsoever they do in the coming election.
Topic regarding pensioners and their requests that Mercy Babajide has been giving us. We will circle back to her shortly, but in the meantime, let's bring you more stories on the news. In Abuja, a pre-election security risk assessment on Osun State has raised concerns over a significant rise in violence ahead of Saturday's governorship election, recording a 206% increase in violence between 2022 and 2026. The assessment, conducted using a mixed method approach, including 3,275 respondents across the state, 30 local government areas, and across party lines, also tracked print and social media activities to examine the intersection between political, security, and social activities. News Central's Charles Pius is standing by for an update on the security concerns and possible solutions ahead of the Osun election. Charles, we've just spoken to Bernard Akede and we talked about how security has been beefed up in Osogbo. What exactly did the report say about the solution to some of the security issues in anticipation of the elections?
Right. I mean, just like your intro stated, we're talking 206% increase since 2022 up until now in terms of security concerns related to elections. It is that bad. Another issue that was spotted in this particular report is the fact that there are activities of mining in Osun East, and of course activities of unknown gunmen and even cultists. Cultists specifically are also one particular activity that people have been stating, or this report actually highlighted as one of the drivers of the violence in Osun State. In fact, in that particular report, they are saying that political parties are subservient to some of these cult groups. There is even a particular part of the report that stated that there are some cultists that are subservient to political parties and they are sponsoring these people to cause violence. So we have the head of research of KDI, the person who did this presentation of this particular report just behind me. He will just give us a little bit of an insight into what this report says, just in 2 minutes. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about this particular report and where specifically would you think will have major issues?
I mean, it's just very important to state that the report is basically highlighting the current context in Osun State, some of the issues within the state around the number of violence, how electoral-related violence has dominated the space. And I'm trying to quickly move to the data. This is what the data looks like. And if you look at the integrity of this data, this is the non-electoral violence in 2022, and this is what we have currently that we've tracked from October 2020, last year till now, and if you look at it, it's even on a downward slope. But if you go to election-related violence, it's actually about 206% increase from that. But what is also very important is that for the first time since 2021, this is the first time we'll be having an elections that election-related violence will be as high and even more than the broader, security issue within the state. I mean, the other part of this is also the component of what I call the all-sport map, which is the part you're talking about earlier, which has to do with what is happening within the the local government. And the point is the fact that we have categorized this in our report, which is the main report. We broke this down into into each of the prayer that characterizes. For instance, Osogbo and Ede have a lot of issues around political related pressure, and operational pressure, which is INEC preparedness. This is where people are complaining about PVC distribution and they are not contented with it. In short, we've also seen different attacks on PVC collection center. I mean, that is not even INEC's problem. It's how criminal elements are interfering into the electoral process. And also we have information-related issue. I mean, there are broadly about 27 media stations in Osun, and most of locally in Osun, and most of them are privately owned, which their owners, one way or the other, have allegiance, affiliation with a political party. So again, we can also talk about how information is being controlled. I mean, in the sense of what they want you to hear is what you're hearing. And if you want to listen to this narrative about a particular party, you listen to this station. If you want to hear the opposite opposite side, you listen to another station. So we've seen all of those dynamics. For instance, Iwo, for instance, is high, but not as a result of issues around political-related issues as such, but it has a lot to do with the criminal element that also rests on this. And broadly, again, the fact that we also do not have to lose sight of the issues within Osun, because the politicians in Osun, regardless of the competitiveness of the elections, they also have existing structure that they lash on to be able to ferment trouble. For instance, the factionalized NURTW or transporters generally, they are functionalized and in their quest for power to claim park, you know, the way they want to claim superiority about park, it's also a problem in interfering into the electoral process. Cult group, I mean, there are quite a lot of structures, violence-related structure that these politicians are lashing on to be able to ferment trouble. But the biggest of all of this is the fact that whatever we're going to see in Osun will not be characterized by one element. It's a combination of the multiple issues that is going to play out. Yeah.
The police had actually mentioned that they have deployed over 15,000 of their men. If you cut across other security agencies, you would mention that of more than 25,000 security agencies have been deployed to Osun State for this election. Whether this would help in curtailing some of the security issues that have been mentioned is left to be seen. Back to you in the studio. Blessings.
Is there with the update on the concerns around security for the Osun State elections and what the plans are to make sure that these concerns are sorted before the time. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a break now. When we return, NAF airstrike kills 9 ISWAP fighters, commander in Borno. Stay with us for more on this. Now to Kano State, where too many women continue to face serious risks during pregnancy and childbirth, with maternal mortality remaining a major public health concern. Religious and community leaders are now meeting to examine the barriers preventing women from accessing timely maternal health care and explore how faith-based interventions can help save lives. News Central's Stephen Enoch joins us live from the event. Stephen, what are the key issues that are being raised and how are religious leaders expected to help reduce maternal death in Kano State?
The issues that are being raised are the fact that, sometimes some women need to seek permission from their husband before they seek health care. Also, some men prefer female healthcare workers to attend to their wives. And sometimes some of them prefer, home deliveries or attendance to their wives at home than the healthcare, which is the safest, like the PHC, which is the safest. Now, this interfaith, coalition is trying to break that barrier. I'm being joined by Apostle Adeni, who will speak about how this can be stopped to reduce maternal mortality in Kano State. Thank you. So how can this interfaith coalition, reduce the effects or reduce maternal mortality in Kano?
Yes, the right step, I think, or one of the right steps is what is happening here. We are here as religious leaders now to go back and talk to our applicants. For the men that wants the wives to be attended to by the victim, I will not blame them. But I think they need more education so that they know that, okay, that's the only time is seeing your wife. And if you have trust, okay. But on the other hand, if there are female experts, why not attend them? Then about those who want to take permission from the husband, that's not a big deal. Just speak to your husband. But the important thing is that let the man himself be convinced that the wife needs to go to hospital. It is more of danger if it is the man who wants his wife attended to at home. So it is good we talk to our men to see the reason why their wives should be attended to by experts.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, so I'm also being joined by Mohammed Nuruddin, who is the chairman of the JNI in Kano State, to give us more insight on how they, as religious leaders, can reduce maternal mortality using their platforms.
Thank you very much. You know that religion is playing a vital role in protecting life. So the religious leaders, especially here, Kano, attended this program to make sure that we play our role to enlighten on the problem is maternal mortality issues, and through our fairs, sermons, and other related activities. So I'm ensuring that if this activity is taken down, activity will be used in Kano State, that we always call the attention of our imams and scholars whenever they are taking engagement. They should please and try and realize the people the problem that we are in this mortality issue.
All right.
As we hear now, it's about 28% the mortality issue is happening in Nigeria. It's very bad.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All right, so as you have heard it, they have spoken about the fact that they will speak to their congregants to ensure that, some of these barriers are being broken. Of course, sometimes the women have to wait for hours before they take permission from their husband. And that waste in time can cause or has even caused maternal and child mortality. So it is believed that after this interfaith coalition, after they speak and rub minds, they'll go back to their congregants, especially those at the rural communities, to break these barriers and to ensure that women and children stop dying unnecessarily due to some of these cultural barriers. Over to you in the studio, lessons.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen Enoch there, with the update on the maternal health crisis that is being faced, especially in the north in Kano State. Let's go now to security matters, where the Nigerian Air Force says a precision airstrike in Sambisa Forest has killed 9 ISWAP fighters, including a key commander. The NAF identified the commander as Abu Khalid Al Muhajir, reportedly responsible for providing security escorts for senior ISWAP members. The Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodamin, disclosed this in a statement saying that the operation demonstrated the effectiveness of intelligence-led air operations, particularly the integration of persistent surveillance with precision strike capabilities. The federal government and Lagos State have reaffirmed their commitment to completing the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. President Bola Tinubu and Works Minister David Umahi are also calling for stronger collaboration to address flooding, drainage and other challenges along the corridor. News Central's Israel Iferobo reports.
The message from the stakeholders meeting is clear. Sustained collaboration will be crucial to delivering the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Represented by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, President Bola Tinubu says the project is part of efforts to improve connectivity and drive economic growth.
Within 2 years, we have seen that over 200 kilometers in different sections of this road have been constructed.
For the Minister of Works, David Umahi, drainage is one of the immediate challenges requiring attention. He wants Lagos State to support the construction of service lanes and drainage infrastructure along the corridor.
As we direct the contractors on a co-bridge to immediately, mobilize and start work. The same thing with Marine Bridge. They will all be going on simultaneously. And then the giant flood drain that we are constructing.
On the coastal highway itself, Section 1 has been completed, while Section 2 is now more than 80% complete. Construction has also commenced in Calabar, Akwa Ibom, Ogun and Ondo states.
In fact, Lot 1 has since been completed, and Lot 2 is over 80% done. We are in Ondo, we were there the other day. We have done over 30% of the job.
But securing the infrastructure remains another challenge. 40 coastal highway guards have been deployed to Section 1 to tackle vandalism and illegal occupation along the routes.
The Coastal Highway Guards initiative is therefore intended to provide an additional layer of visibility, vigilance, infrastructure monitoring, public assistance, and incident reporting along the corridor.
Other government officials at the meeting also highlighted the importance of the project and the need for sustained cooperation.
Today is an evidence that the renewed administration is moving from policy to pavement, from promise to projects, and from plans to visible progress.
But we're sure that we're partners because we will put our money where our mouth is. We will be willing to do the support with the federal government. Is an honor to do that.
With flooding, security and infrastructure challenges still requiring attention, stakeholders say continued cooperation will be crucial to keeping the project on course.
So with the conclusion of the stakeholders' engagement here on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, as well as a flag off of repair work on the Eco Bridge, Marine Bridge, and the flooded section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, citizens are asking that these works should be accelerated so that they can enjoy easy movements within these axis. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Ifirobo.
Israel Ifirobo there with the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway update. You're live with us on the 12 Report. Once again, we go on a quick break. When we come back, we have more stories. Just stay with us. Now going back to the FCT, despite the enactment and national domestication of the Child Rights Act, stakeholders say access to justice for children remains a major challenge. In response to this, the United Nations Children's Fund is collaborating with the Nigerian Bar Association to mobilize pro bono legal services for vulnerable children across the country. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai is at the meeting for the launch of the initiative in Abuja and now joins us live. Joshua, what more does this collaboration seek to achieve?
To you, Blessings. You could recall sometime in 2025 in the courtroom of Justice Emeka Nwite when some individuals who were termed children were being prosecuted and remanded. This situation threw the nation into outrage. Now, situations like that is what the Nigerian Bar Association and UNICEF are partnering together to curb. Now, they are saying that despite the law saying that children who are not up to 18 years should not be remanded in correctional facility alongside adults, they are still seeing a proliferation of children in the same custodial centers. They are also saying that children also should not be brought alongside adults in court when their case are being heard. So now we are understanding that the Nigerian Bar Association and UNICEF, they are now partnering to provide pro bono legal services for children across the nation, for children who are being found wanting of the law or children who need justice, so as to slim the direct distance between access to justice and these children. We understand that the UNICEF has pledged a total of 120 million to providing pro bono services through lawyers by mobilizing lawyers of the Nigerian Bar Association to come in handy when the cases of these children are being heard. So this is what they are doing here currently in Abuja, and we are still seeing the convergence of prison officials, Ministry of Justice officials, and officials of the Nigerian Bar Association, and a couple of others who are here to discuss way forward to advance child rights with justice and the access to justice for children. Blessings.
All right, Joshua Marai there with the update on the child rights and the meeting to try to enforce this continuously. Let's talk a bit of business. The Central Bank of Nigeria has cancelled a planned 700 billion naira treasury bills auction, following a sharp tightening of liquidity in the banking system. The move came after the CBN withdrew 4.69 trillion naira through open market operations in 2 consecutive sessions on August 3rd and 4th. The cancellation auction was scheduled to offer 91-day, 182-day and 364-day bills, with settlement planned for August 6. The CBN had already sterilized 7.18 trillion naira through OMO auctions in July, taking total withdrawals in July and early August above 11.8 trillion naira. The decision highlights concerns over balancing government financing needs with liquidity conditions. A year from now, Africa is expecting one of the biggest changes that could transform intra-continental trade. Have you heard of ECO? The proposed single currency for the Economic Community of West African States, better known as ECOWAS. Now, if all goes according to plan, it is expected to launch in July 2027, becoming a common currency for West African nations and marking a historic step towards deeper regional integration. The idea itself isn't new. It has been in the works for more than 2 decades now, delayed by economic hurdles, political instability, and the challenge of aligning the financial policies of countries with very different economies. But leaders say they are closer than ever to actually making it a reality. Think about it. Every time you travel from Nigeria to Ghana or Senegal to Sierra Leone, you exchange currencies, you pay conversion fees, and navigate fluctuating exchange rates. Businesses trading across borders face similar obstacles. A single currency could simplify payments, could lower transaction costs, could encourage investment, and make it easier for goods, services, and people to move across the region. Of course, questions remain. Can every country meet the economic conditions required? Will member states be willing to give up some control over their monetary policies? Those answers will shape the ECO's future. But if it succeeds, the ECO will represent far more than a new banknote. It will be a symbol of a region choosing greater economic cooperation over fragmentation, proving that Africa's next chapter may well be written together and not apart. And that's your postscript. Now, before we go, let's take a look at what's happening in the sporting world. The Super Falcons' WAFCON title defense is over after a 1-0 quarterfinal defeat to Cameroon. Nigeria now face South Africa on Thursday in a crucial World Cup playoff, with the winner moving on to the intercontinental stage. The defeat has also raised questions about Nigeria's finishing, tactical identity, and squad depth. Our correspondent Onyechi Obaro will be joining us from Casablanca to give us more updates. Onyechi Obaro, are you with us?
Sure, I am. Blessings.
After that loss, what must Nigeria change immediately, looking at how the game was played before Thursday's crucial clash with South Africa?
Blessings, they have to change the mentality around the camp because they will not be dampened by that loss against Cameroon. They've got a playoff to execute, and this playoff will be up against South Africa, who lost the other quarterfinal against the host nation, Morocco. Nigeria have never lost out from making it to the Women's World Cup ever before since its inception in 1991. This year will not be different, and the coach had already taken responsibility and said the attention now turns to the playoff. Nigeria would have to play the playoff. If they win against South Africa, they go up against an intercontinental opponent, and that will be in November, December. When they win that, they go for the final again in order to pick a ticket to the FIFA Women's World Cup. I will be speaking to a sport journalist, of course, who was at the game yesterday, and will be hearing her reaction after Nigeria lost out of the Women's African Cup of Nations campaign. We've got Kachi Okafo with us right now. Quickly, Kachi, you're live on News Central. Would like to get your reaction. Never has it been done before, but history was made, and not a good history for Nigeria, who have never missed the semi-final of this competition before. Neither have they missed out an automatic ticket before for the Women's World Cup. Now, what should the attention shift to right now after all these have been done?
I mean, Onye, you said it already. First things are first. The players have not been in this mood before. They've not been in this position before. It took them some seconds or over a minute to be able to even console each other because everybody fell apart, you know, just after the game. But they cannot afford to stay down. They have to, unfortunately, I would say, shift their attention immediately. You know, these are playoffs. Ordinarily, it should come later. But then I wouldn't blame CAF for wanting to use this window, you know, once and for all, and cover the stuff. The last time the Super Falcons were up against Banyana, South Africa, it was in the last WAFCON, beating them in their semi-final to progress to the final. That game ended 2-1. Just the way Nigeria would normally beat Cameroon until that last time we met, the friendly, there was 2 legs. Nigeria won 3-1, Cameroon won the other one 1-0, you know, at their home. So, yeah. A lot of things just going through my mind at the same time, but the players cannot afford to stay down. They just have to focus, you know, their attention on what's up next.
Okay. That is it. What the next attention should be the playoff at this time. And just as Kachi has said, a journalist covering the Women's WAFCON from Nigeria, we should not let the defeat, of course, keep us down. The players need to dust themselves off and then focus on the next task ahead, which is that game against the Banyana of South Africa. Back to you, Blessings.
Right, Onyechi Obaro there. Like you said, history has been made, and it's not a good history, but definitely we know that Nigeria can bounce back. Thank you for the update. Well, that's all on the 12th report today. Sending your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen because we want to see what you see. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Now, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Gold TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Wasugu.